day and give us opportunity to come together to inspire and to make change in hopefully somebody's life through you, Lord God. Lord God, I ask that you allow us to speak words that you want us to speak today on this virtual call. Lord God, I ask that you allow somebody to take these words and to allow it to take precedence and to take shape in their lives so that they can use it to the betterment of not only themselves but for the glory of you, Lord God. Lord God, in general, I just ask that you keep all of us safe and healthy, cover us with your grace and mercies as we travel and as we stay in the house and as we just go about our everyday lives as we are still in a global pandemic, Lord God. And these things we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. Thank you. So welcome back everyone to another episode of Get Hip. As you guys can see, Nia was unable to join us this time. She's not feeling well, so please send up some added prayers for her. I'm super excited about what we're going to be talking about today. And it came from actually my devotional time period. I know that we are pretty familiar with Joseph. I don't know if y'all saw that DreamWorks movie, but there was that DreamWorks movie that came out, and that was actually what sparked my initial interest in Joseph. But he came across he came up in my devotional time, and there's that scripture that he says when he says it to his brothers, and he says, "What you intended to harm me, God actually meant for good, and I was able to do great things as a result of that harm that you intended to come my way." And so it made me think about how we can find the good in really difficult and hard situations. And I want to start by asking you two, what are some good things that you got out of this pandemic or out of this quarantine? What are some things that maybe you learned or some benefits that you received, even in the middle of this unprecedented, long-lasting pandemic?
For me, one of my biggest things is I finally made friends during the pandemic. Like, making friends on campus for me, I'm much of an introvert when it comes to like being in like public spaces and stuff like that. So I really like clung on to the people I came to UMD with. So I actually like finally made friends outside of like my inner circle that I had created, like that I had coming from high school to college. Another thing is I'm super into candles and meditation now. I got like 4 candles in my background. I fell in love with candles over it. It's kind of like a nice way to kind of just recenter myself and just kind of focus, especially if I'm in the middle of working or if I'm typing a paper and stuff like that. It kind of just brings me calmness and serenity while I'm doing all that stuff.
Yeah, for me, I kind of like the opposite. I became more comfortable with myself, just being by myself. For a period of time, you couldn't go out, you couldn't do things. Coming from going to school way out at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm seeing people every day, all the time, 24/7, really no matter where I go. From my roommate to I walk outside the door and I see my dorm mates, and then I'm seeing my professors and classmates, and then I'm going out to campus and seeing hundreds of thousands of people, and then going out to the city. So it was a lot of people all the time. Not much time for rowdy time. So that was one thing that I was able to take advantage of. Just being in tune with myself, and really figuring out what things I was passionate about, if I was passionate about anything, what things I want to do, and also taught me discipline and patience. Being that things don't come as quickly as they used to, or you couldn't make things happen the way that you were accustomed to. You had to wait for a lot of things, or if you didn't want to wait, you had to really make things happen in a whole different way. So those are the takeaways that I've had so far.
That's awesome. That's great. I wanted to start there, but I want us to shift now into what are some things that you all do when you find yourself in difficult seasons. I'm sure that, this pandemic, this quarantine isn't the first thing that you guys have had to endure or overcome, and it certainly won't be the last. So what are some things that you guys kind of do to help yourselves to see the light when things get dark? Like, what are just some things that work for you guys when you find yourselves feeling low?
Self-disclosure, I have depression and anxiety, so I find myself in a lot of low points, whether it was through high school, even through college, the pandemic on campus. Like, it's just something that I've had to like kind of learn and deal with. So going through that, especially like in the pandemic where I don't have like the same outreaches or the same resources that I was able to have, like when everything was open, and kind of like was able to go outside and kind of connect, like being by yourself, it kind of like forces you to kind of like think about the negatives, and it's not something that like it kind of just brings you down. So for me, the things that I did was kind of like I would try and like ground myself, if that makes sense, because it's like it's for me, it's like my mind will start to wander, and when it starts to wander, it kind of like circles and spirals out, and then it kind of just overwhelms me, and then that's when it kind of gets to like that's like the low point. So it's like I kind of express it out how it is instead of trying to keep it in, because that just, it's like I don't know, it's like boiling water almost. So it's like it kind of like expands and stuff, and like if you're contained, it's gonna boil over and stuff like that. So you kind of just have to release it in sections, and then also just kind of like taking time to ground yourself and kind of process the things that you're going through, because it's like you can't just ignore it and keep pushing it back and keep trying to be like I'll deal with it later, because it just doesn't work like that. You kind of have to deal with your problem. You kind of have to deal with it head on, and like kind of take it in strides and take it in steps to kind of tackle the different facets of an issue that you're going through.
Yeah, well said. I am aligned to that in a lot of ways. I think for me, one thing I'm doing now is that, you know, I kind of not live out the motto, but you know, when things do get tougher, like as you say, for example, I have 7 assignments all due in 6 days or something crazy like that. You know, one thing I've been telling myself to do is take one thing at a time, one step at a time. You know, just, you know, if it's 7 assignments, I just, instead of focusing on, okay, I have 7 assignments, I do, okay, I have 1 assignment done. What's next? I'm down 2 assignments. What's next? 3 assignments. And then if I just keep focusing on one at a time, I'll eventually get to the end goal. And if I don't, well, this is maybe a me thing. I am a believer in it'll all be okay in the long run. And to some degree, prioritizing how much things matter in the long run. Not saying don't care about your work, but you know, mental health and sleep are very important as young adults, teenagers. So strive for those straight A's, 4.0s, but take time to really consider, you know, because I didn't get a 4.0 and I'm in a pretty good spot in my life. You know, take time to consider, how much time and effort is it really going to take for you to do that one assignment that's due in 2 minutes, where you can, just kind of, do as best you can on it, and then let God control it. So that's just me. I want to recommend that to everybody.
No, that was awesome. First of all, you both are very, very eloquent. Like, those are both awesome answers. And I think it's so very important to do both of the things that you guys kind of lifted. Selah, I think that you touched on something awesome about allowing yourself to really, feel it, like to deal with and understand and go through those things, but then ground yourself at the same time. And that's very similar, again, to what Rodney was saying about just kind of taking it one thing at a time and not allowing yourself to kind of be overwhelmed, because you will find yourself in situations where there's just a lot going on. It's not just assignments, there's just a lot in life. And you get overwhelmed when you just allow yourself to just be focusing on so many things at once. And it is extremely helpful and extremely important to just kind of break it up and allow yourself to deal with things sort of as they come. And I do want to also add, it's important to understand that you don't have to carry it all alone. Like when you do find yourself in those dark and difficult seasons, it's okay to reach out to someone, preferably a professional, but also your friends, also your family, but understand that it's okay to reach out. And if you find yourself in a low place, and if you find yourself in that low place for a long time, make sure that you are reaching out to someone who is a professional and who can help you get through it, because you do need to get through it. One of the things, Selah, that you said was that if you push it away and push it aside, that's not going to fix anything. That's very, very real. And I'm grown and I'm still learning that. Okay. Like, you can't avoid it. You have to deal with it. And I think sometimes, and I'm going to stop talking after this, but I think sometimes as Christians, we tend to just kind of put a religious Band-Aid on it. Like, God said everything, and not that it's not going to be okay. It is going to be okay. But we kind of rush through the healing and rush through the feeling to try to get to the sunny time. But it's okay to be low and it's okay to be down. It's just you're not allowed to stay there. Like you have to find a way to deal with those feelings and then to move forward. And so did want to just add that. But I think that what you guys have lifted is awesome. And I just want just one more thing that I kind of want you guys to touch on. If you have any advice, any added advice that you can give to the young people about how to handle low moments, and even let's go one step further, how to bring those low moments to God and how to not like allow yourself to be disconnected because you're hurting or because you're low or because of whatever, you know what I mean? Like how do you turn that moment into an opportunity to go deeper with God? That's deep. So y'all want a second or y'all got it? Which one?
I think that's something.
Okay, amen.
Like I said, when you're going, the first thing is like, if you're going through the low moments, the first thing you got to do is recognize that you're going through the low moments, because a lot of times, like even for me personally, I just kind of be like, it's okay, you just got to keep going, you got to keep working, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep getting through everything. Like there's so many different things going on, like you just got to keep going. Like the first thing you have to do is recognize that you're having those feelings. And then the next step, especially since most of our viewers are like young, tell your parents. Like I know it's the hardest thing to do, to kind of open up and kind of like just be open about how you're truly feeling, but it really won't get better, especially like since you're so young. It won't get better until you tell either your parents or a guardian or an adult, just because there's not much you can do. Like even talking to your friends and stuff, like you don't really understand the scope of like what you're feeling sometimes, because like emotions are complicated things to have to deal with. So your first step is definitely like coming to your parents and talking to them about it and everything that you're going through. And then the second step would definitely be like, so like I kind of told you guys in one of the previous episodes that during college I kind of strayed away from my path with God and stuff like that. And during that time I found myself in one of my low moments like that, and it was kind of like a long period of time with that. So like I would definitely say the first thing to do is reach out to also a person on the like within the congregation, like for Reverend Mimi and stuff like that. Like find people who you trust within the church to kind of help you walk through that progress. Also, if you need, like if it stays low, you can use your parents and use those resources to get you like professional help, because it's okay to get professional help. Like I had professional help. Like that's just something that we just have to accept, like as a community. Like it's okay to go through these things and have other people stand by you. So I think that's really important. That's really something important that you guys kind of have to take to heart, but you also have to take the first step in kind of recognizing that there's a problem there that exists within yourself.
Awesome. Amazing. Go ahead, Rodney. My bad.
Yeah, there's little for me to add, but if I was to, I would say, and it starts with being in your up moments. When you're in your up moments, connect with people that's in the church, like Reverend Mimi, like Rev Russ, if he's in close contact, or even a family friend that's either older, preferably older than you, maybe a little more wisdom. It doesn't have to be like somebody your parents' age. It can be somebody who's like your older cousin's age. It doesn't matter. It's somebody that you can come to who, it doesn't always have to be, about like, hey, I'm sad, help me out, or hey, I need money, help me out. You can be like, hey, I got a 4.0, or hey, I got an A on this test, and it's a different perspective than your parents or your friends. Your parents may say, okay, keep going. Your friends may say, oh, you're a nerd, or okay, whatever. But this person, they give you a different perspective on everything. And preferably have it be a person that's that's in their journey with walking with God as well, and then just have them be that go-to person for when you're up. So then when you do end up being in a valley, because that's how life works like mountains and valleys. When you do end up in a valley, or even sliding down that mountain, you can go to them and you won't be so lost. A lot of times people treat God like this as well. They see God as either as a being that's only there to pick you up when you're down, or somebody to praise when you're up super high. But there's still a lot of middle ground that God's there for, and God's working on you for. So that's something I've even dealing with, like praising God in the in-between times. So just work on that. Just find somebody to connect with, no matter what's going on in your life, a mentor. And can come to God for whenever. You can go to God. You can go to God right now. Be like, hey, thanks for making me be on this this YouTube call. You know, something simple as that. So then when you get, you know, to a point where you fail the test, you know, it won't be so far fetched.
That was awesome. And I feel like y'all just need to start preaching. Like, y'all need to just drop when y'all's next preaching engagements are. Like, let's just make that happen. But no, seriously, you guys are amazing. Like, and I hope that you two realize that. This was awesome. And I have really enjoyed this series. I don't know about you all, but I have really, really enjoyed it. And I just love hearing from you guys and Nia, because y'all are young. And so just the way that you all speak and the fact that you're young and you are walking in God is just awesome. And I have really, really enjoyed this. And maybe we'll be able to bring it back, you know, in the future. But this has been awesome. And I want to thank everyone who is watching that has been coming back. This has been really, really dope. And thank you guys for joining us. And I just hope that all of you stay safe and stay prayed up and stay blessed. Bye, everyone.